All right, good evening, good morning, hello, goeiedag, siyabonga, how's it going? Hello everybody, thanks for tuning into my channel. I'm DrWeez, and yeah, thanks for tuning in. So today it's update time to let you guys know what's been going on. I missed my stream on Tuesday. Unfortunately, I had a few commitments I couldn't get out of. Being self-employed is a bit of a pain in the arse nowadays because your schedule has to be flexible to wherever the money's coming in, right? But anyway, that's not your problem. So let's go ahead and let you know what's on the OC bench today. Wait, before we do that, just a reminder, this stream is on Facebook, YouTube and Twitch all at the same time. We broadcast to all three of the platforms, which makes it a little bit tricky to maintain all the different chats. So I do have a Discord channel, a server, which the information is down here in the hardware text box, so you can join the Discord channel if you're wanting to ask me any live channels. I try and keep the chat open. I also do try and monitor the Twitch channel as well as the Facebook channel. So if I'm a bit slow in answering your questions, if I miss your questions, please just DM me or message me on Facebook or on Twitch or whatever, and then I'll make sure to address any questions that you might have that I've missed when I get a chance. Yeah, so let's go ahead and have a look. We have got the GPU power, the Galaxy Hall of Fame 1080 Ti Hall of Fame project on the bench today. So this is a project that I've been really excited about, and let me tell you, it's been pretty cool. I haven't got around to actually getting Windows installed just yet. I've had a few, like I said, I've had a few commitments that have got in the way of things. So let's just go ahead and have a look at what we've got going and what's actually installed and how's it all configured. I want to switch you across there. So just a warning, I'm going to try and move the cameras around a little bit to try and get a good view of exactly, so I can show you guys exactly how everything's set up and how everything's configured. And we'll start off with this view here. So you can clearly see I've got the 5 Galaxy 1080 Ti Hall of Fame cards connected. They've all got water cooling blocks on them, and to actually solve the problem with the heat that these things generate, I've gone and built a custom bong sort of type cooler. If you just Google water cooling bong, there's an overclock.net thread which I used as inspiration. I believe Linus Tech has also got some videos out there. So let's just transition across here quickly, and here's the completed rig. So I've just built an open air frame, the classic frame that the miners all use. This is the revision 3, I think it is, of my frame and of my design. So basically it gives you enough space for having 2 rows of GPUs should you wish. What I've done instead of, I've got 1 row of GPUs and I've got 2 power supplies at the bottom, and then the motherboard is mounted here at the back but vertically instead of horizontally. And that just gives you a little bit more freedom when it comes to your preference for cooling the rigs and airflow and stuff like that. Right, so let's just go through what we've got here. Underneath we've got the Antec High Current Pro 1300 watt, and the reason why I chose this power supply is because it's got that link cable, that what do they call it? There's actually a proper name for it, the Corsair Link. Not Corsair Link, sorry, that's the other program. Let me just get this right, making an ass of myself now. OC Link, alright, so that's what it's called. Right, so that enables you then to switch one power supply on, and it automatically controls the second power supply. Look, it is possible to use like jumpers and different cables for doing that, but I thought, well, you know what, it comes with functionality. I need to test it for OC anyway, so this is a great project to start with. So I've got 2600 watts of power in total, which is a little bit of overkill, considering that I've got these cards running at the moment now and it's only using 1700 watts of power. How I can tell that exactly is I've got this handy little power meter, and if we just transition across here, you can have a look, and okay, it's going to be upside down for you. I'm going to try and get that into screen. There you can see it actually tells you the 1700 watts of power. So I use that also for overclocking, so that I can see that I'm not hitting, you know, the limits of the power supply when I'm hitting OC. Alright, so hey overclocking TV, thanks for tuning in. It's good to see you guys around. Alright, so that's the rig in a nutshell. Let's have a look at that bong. Now you guys haven't been exposed to this yet. So it's in the background here. I'm going to get out of the way and I'll talk to you as I explain to you what's going on. I'm just going to move the camera quickly, guys, so don't get seasick, so you can see a little bit more down of what I've got going on. So in a nutshell, we'll start off with we've got a 75-litre bin right at the bottom. That's this one here underneath the board, and that's basically my reservoir. I've got approximately 65 litres of water in there. It's not ideal to be using standard tap water because of the heavy metals in the water. It's going to cause problems in your water blocks, okay, but for the prototype I'm prepared to take that risk. I'll run some cleaning solution through everything to clean it up nicely. The Hall of Fame water blocks are nickel plated, so it's going to be a little bit easier to clean than straight up copper. But anyway, let's go through that. So then from there I'm going to a little 12-volt pump here. It pushes approximately 1400 litres per hour, so that's just a little bit more powerful than a D5, and it's just standard type solar pump that you'd use for say for a solar panel installation with your geyser and stuff like that. So it's designed to run 24 hours a day. It's industrial and it's great, and you know what, it was cheaper than a D5. Then from there it's really straightforward. I've got a couple of pieces of 110mm sewage pipe. This is the underground variant, so it's not very UV stable, so if it's out in the sun it's not going to, but for this use it's perfect. From there I go to a wide joint and then up to a rotting eye joint, and the reason why I use a rotting eye joint because it gave me a nice flat surface in order to install the 220-volt fan, which is moving the air down into the pipe and then up through out the top, and basically it's just doing normal evaporative cooling. So that's the basic concept. Now originally where I had the water coming back out of the video cards and into the 110mm pipe, I installed just a normal shower head, and then that would then, you know, make the water separate and essentially giving it more water that is flowing through the air to put the evaporative cooling in. Now I didn't find that very effective, and what I've actually done now is I've taken the shower head off and I've just put a piece of cloth in there, and that cloth is basically acting as the surface for the evaporation to take place, and it's quite effective. So I can show you now at the moment. I've got a thermal probe down here on the input, so this is the water coming from the reservoir, and then I've got a thermal probe here on the copper from the output. So this is the output from the main VGA. And if you look down at the temperatures, you can see that the water going in is 34 degrees and the water coming out is 40 degrees. So the water going into the first video card is 33 degrees and then coming out at 40 degrees. So the evaporative cooler in the bong definitely works. I mean, that's 5 VGA cards, that's 5 1080 Ti's running at 250 watts per card and running at quite a high calculation process. So what I've done to stress load it is I'm basically got it mining Zcash, right? So it's very straightforward. It's mining the equal hash algorithm, and I've just been letting it run for the last 2 days because I needed to test out how the evaporative cooler was working. So it manages to keep everything around 40, the high 40s to 50 degrees, and you know, if you're asking me, that's pretty damn decent, and for that much heat coming out for such a simple cooling design, fantastic. However, there are some drawbacks, and this is what I've learned now over the last couple of days while I've been running it, is that the idea of an evaporative cooler is all good and well if you're willing to cope with the loss of water, so the evaporation. And what I've discovered is that the amount of heat generated here, I'm losing 10 to 15 litres of water a day. Now that's quite serious, you know, that's quite a fair chunk of water. I don't know how much water is around the world, but in South Africa it's not the cheapest and not the most efficient way of doing the cooling. So what I'm now going to do is I'm going to try and find myself a old air conditioner condensator. I'm going to, well, first of all, once I find one, then I'm going to see how I can modify it, and I plan to use an outdoor aircon condensator to do the evaporation part or the cooling part rather than using evaporative cooling, if that makes any sense, because yeah, I can't live with you know, losing so much water a day. It's just not cricket, if you're asking me. So let's go ahead and see if I can show you a little bit of something that's going on here. Right, so if we go across to just have a look, I've got an installation of EthOS installed. Linux is my preferred method for my clients out there that have asked for assistance. The reason being, I just found it really easy to maintain remotely, so when they need help and there's none of the Windows updates rubbish and all that sort of stuff going on. So in this machine it's just 4 gigs of memory, and then we've got the cards up and running, and you can see they're humming away nicely at 720, 730 hashes per second. I've done no configuration whatsoever of these cards. This is stock standard values, so you could probably maybe squeeze out a little bit more. I'm not too sure how much you can squeeze out in equal hash, but definitely on like the neuroscripts and other algorithms out there, you'll be able to tweak it quite nicely, and maybe I'll go through some of that on the stream at a later stage. If you guys are wanting to monitor how this machine is doing, you can see up in the top left hand corner there is the remote monitoring panel, freeze.ethos.com. You guys are welcome to log on to that, and you can actually monitor how this machine is doing and what this machine is doing while it's running on ethos. So the plan is now to get Windows installed on here, and how I'm going to go about doing that is I'm going to have to change the SSD. I'm going to have to put more memory in, because the more cards you run, the more virtual memory you need, and the more actual memory you need. So I'm going to try and install 32 gigs of memory on this Z170 Gaming Pro Carbon and see how that handles. I'm not too sure. It's not my favorite of boards, but it serves for its purpose on this build. And yeah, I think that's basically it. Let's have a look to see that's the latest status of where things are going. George, how's it going, bud? Thanks for tuning in. Right, we've got a couple of we've got a couple of questions here. So George is asking that hot card is one on air. Yes. Okay, so we've got one card running at 66 degrees. That's I've snuck in a sneaky little Strix at the end just while I was doing some testing. It was returned to me as a faulty card, so I'm just putting it under a little bit of stress before I return it to the manufacturing, and unfortunately it's working perfectly as far as I can see. Let me just bring up, I've lost my OBS, let me just bring up the screen so you can actually see what's going on there. So if you have a look at the end here, you can see I've got a sneaky little 1080 Ti Strix running at the end. I just threw it in, I had space in the build, so I wanted to see how it was running, and it's running, it's actually a little bit slower, but I think that's got to do with the heat. So what you'll find if you open up the ethos panel, that's freeze.ethos.distro.com, you should be able to see that that one's probably running slightly less watts than the others, or slightly more watts. Okay, yeah, but then you can see if you have a look, the core clock is down to 1.86. So that's the reason why it's downclocked. Ethos, it manages your temperatures as well, so if you're running too hot, it will actually downclock your voltages and your frequency to stabilize and to get some stability. A lot of people bash Ethos. Actually, it takes some time getting used to it, but it's really pretty cool. So the next step for the bong is to get that air condenser, the air conditioner condenser, and to see how I can modify it. And then the idea would be to really take, maybe even leave the closed loop with the reservoir here and actually run the air through a condenser with a second pump. The water flow through these 5 cards is actually pretty good. The other thing I could also do, if I found that I don't want to get a second pump, is instead of having everything come in the one card and out the last card, I could actually put a wire joint into the pipe and actually come into 2 cards and then out of 2 cards and then go through the condensator. There's lots of flexibility to do with a project like this. The nice thing is that it actually works. It actually runs pretty cool. Then once we've got Windows up and running on it, then we can start pushing some voltages, throw some ice into the reservoir, get that water down to like 10 degrees, see what voltages and what frequencies we can push into it, and then start going after GPU power, and maybe we'll just run some 3D Mark for shits and giggles as well, although I don't think it scales past 4 cards. I'll get a hold of Future Mark and ask them, but I think they might only scale up to 4 cards for time spy, etc. and we'll take it from there. And what I'd like to really start seeing is how far I can push these power supplies, but currently they're only running maybe what that'll be what 750 watts per power supply, no, 800 watts per power supply, 850 per power supply. So there's still a lot of headroom in the power supplies. We've got 2600 watts in total. That's lots of headroom there. And then, you know what, I've got some custom pots out, but that's like right down the line. We could even go as far as thinking about putting 5 cards on liquid nitrogen, but I don't see the real point in that, to be perfectly honest. Hopefully these cards I can get some value out of these cards before the next generation comes out. It looks like the 1180s will be out in the next couple of weeks or so, maybe Computex time. Who knows? I don't really care too much. These are working, and I think that's about it. So guys, let's just have a look to see, are there any questions on Facebook? Right, we've got some comments here. Michael is wearing the same shirt that I'm wearing. That's the RGOC Showdown from 2015. This is my favorite go-to shirts. Oh, Christopher, how's it going? He's commenting that looks like his water cooling mining rig. He's also commenting he recognizes the lab. Yeah, he's been here. I just don't have his signature on the door, so there's no evidence of that. He has to come back and visit again. Yeah, and that's about it for the Facebook chats. So let's have a look at what we've got going on Twitch. Alright, so just George, other temps look great. Yeah, look, the highest I've seen these temps run was around 49, 50 degrees, and that's when the water got low. The first night I ran it overnight, because of the evaporation, I didn't realize that I'd be left with such a little bit of water. Now the problem is once your volume of water starts to get low, the evaporation isn't as effective, because it's not having to put more effort into the cooling, and it just can't keep up with that, not with such a small evaporative cooler. But I think with the condensator and the additional pump, I think it's gonna rock, you know. And then let's have a look quickly. Anybody on Discord? Nobody on Discord. All right, guys. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. That's the update of where we are with this build. I'm not going to install Windows on the stream. That's just freaking boring. So I owe you a stream from Tuesday. I'll try and get that squeezed in. Let's not make any promises. So I tell you what, subscribe to me on Twitch and like me on Facebook. You'll get notification of when I go live. Definitely before the end of the week, but no commitments on date. I've got 2 more projects I need to finish for customers by the end of Friday. Once that's done, I can maybe get another stream done. So I want to say a quick thank you for everyone that has been supporting the channel, and Tech for helping out with these power supplies, and obviously Galax for their water cooling blocks. Guys, until next time, thanks for tuning in, and happy benching.